following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tony D'Angelo's PM Coast to Coast. Now, here's your host, Tony D'Angelo.
And a very good afternoon to you, all of our friends and fans on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I am Tony D'Angelo, your host of Tony D'Angelo's PM Coast to Coast, and guess what? The dog ate my homework. I don't have an interview for you today. What I do have for you today, assuming Comfortably Zoned Radio does not throw me off of the air tomorrow, is a rain delay. And I'd like to call this show our rain delay of December 1st of 2018. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some music, some retromercials, some opinion, our ever world famous baseball birthdays, and we really are going to try a couple of different things and a couple of new things, and I'm meddling with some things in my heart and soul and mind for the new year, and I would appreciate your comment. That is, again, if you're going to be speaking to me after this. But let me tell you, I just want to tell everybody that you guys really are the world's best audience. You're encouraging every week. You tell me how much you like the stuff that we're doing, and I just like having fun doing it. I'm having more fun doing it than you're having listening, so I am very pleased with that. And I'm also very pleased with you. There was a gentleman a number of years ago by the name of Gleason talking about he had a dandy bunch as an audience. Mine's even better. We'll be right back with more of the rain delay of December 1st, 2018, right after this, and after the retromercial. Thanks, producer.
An Oscar, you're the best, the greatest, you're okay. Pardon the outburst, I want to say, you ring the bell, you're swelling and swell.
Did you ever notice that the stronger the guy is, the quieter he is? Well, brother, that's Buick. You wouldn't want more power than Buick has in 56. Yet, it's the quietest, smoothest running car you ever drove. And go, boom, go try one. Down at your Buick dealers. Good night, everybody. Okay, kiddo, I'm going to get it to you straight.
Hi, Mac.
Love you, babe. The studios aren't calling anymore. Your bank accounts, they've dried up. The houses, the cars, the boats. Listen to me, sweetheart. You can kiss them all goodbye. Frankly, there's only one luxury you can still afford. And you're looking at it. Meisterbrow.
You don't have to be rich to enjoy a beer as rich and smooth as Meisterbrow. It only tastes expensive.
Whoa, Max, you really had me worried for a minute, pal.
It's landed. Ideal's new Astrobase has just landed. Look, the space lock is opening. And here comes the astronaut. He's being lowered from the Astrobase into the remote-controlled Scout car. The two space probes are being mounted for launching. The car is scanning the area. And there go the space probes. They're calling them back to the Astrobase. Mission accomplished. Ideal's Astrobase and Colonel Macaulay's space helmet are the greatest way to play outer space. You can scan the skies, launch deep space probes, fire rockets, destroy stray meteorites. Ideal's Astrobase is at your favorite toy store. Get your Ideal Astrobase today.
And that is the lead-in normally to introduce a guest. Today I have no guest. I have been terribly remiss. I have me, and I will be my own guest, so to speak, and give you a little bit of opinion, if I may do so. It used to be, if you go back years and years ago, I was a kid growing up in the greater New York metropolitan area, and a number of the stations and radio stations would give the opinion of management concerning a particular topic. And what they would do is, I remember still Richard Hughes on WPIX in New York always giving an opinion, and normally it was a well-reasoned opinion, whether you agreed with it or not, and he would invite people to comment as to whether they agreed or disagreed, or if they had other thoughts or points that he wasn't seeing. Now, I guess today we have social media, where immediately opinion often turns into violence and mush and censorship and offense and people walking away hurt or ashamed or bullying or shaming and all kinds of things like that, which I think is a very sad commentary on quote-unquote what society is, because I was raised to understand that not everyone would agree with me all of the time, and the fact that somebody disagreed did not make them wrong. It was what they believed, and you had perhaps an alternative view, and you would discuss it. Occasionally the discussions would get heated, but there never would be any sort of, shall we say, instantaneous gross insult, which seems to happen every day on social media, to the point where sometimes it's unreadable. I could go down my social media feed, and believe me, I'm doing that less and less these days, which I think is a shame, because social media is a good vehicle for meeting people and sharing ideas. I've met some marvelous friends, and I've had clients come, and I have partaken of some things that I would not have known about but for social media. But yet, today I could read down my feed, and it's a question of, and it's almost evenly divided. Half the world loves this person, half the world hates this person. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And there never really seems to be anything constructive coming of it, other than the fact that the only real development is things seem to be farther aside. Now, the inverse of all of this, in my, shall we say, casual observation, or as Yogi Berra would say, you really can observe a lot merely by watching, is many people end up being hurt or shamed by a lot of the nonsense that comes on. And I'm not at all for that whatsoever. I don't believe that any deliberate act to hurt or shame someone who disagrees with you is a good thing, regardless of who it is. It's how could I put it? Making something violent for the sake of making something violent because you disagree is a wrong thing to do. Nothing constructive comes of that. So, my opinion. So, as my opinions are not those, let me just be very clear about this, necessarily of my colleagues on this network. We have quite a diverse and interesting group of colleagues from many, many backgrounds. We've got people who were former Major League Baseball players, we've got authors, we've got extremely intelligent professional individuals, we've got great sports guys, we have former writers, and everybody has a perspective to bring, and that's what I love about this network, because I like listening to what they say. I hope they like listening to what I say. And that's really what it's supposed to be about. When people went to college years ago, the idea was to listen to all kinds of viewpoints, whether you agreed with them or not, because you had to formulate your own body of knowledge. Today somebody comes on a campus that you don't like, and you start protesting and throwing tomatoes, and I don't know what's educational about that. Said all that to say this. with people getting very easily hurt, I got up this morning and I knew it was going to be a nutty Saturday. I mean, probably more so than a lot of the Saturdays that are around here. Saturdays around here generally are incredibly nutty. But I understand a radio station. Let me get the call letters of this radio station. This is a station in Cleveland, Ohio, WDOK, Christmas 102, has banned the Christmas song, Baby It's Cold Outside, because of certain references in the song, which was written during the 1940s. And the reason why they banned it is someone had protested that the lyrics are offensive to those who have been assaulted. Now let me just say this. To anyone who's been assaulted, I do not know that feeling. I do not know what it feels like, and I would do everything I could, not in the worst or least possible way, to make you feel the least bit threatened. But by the same token, I cannot guarantee you a perfect world. I cannot guarantee you a world where everything you see, hear, smell, touch, taste, sense, surmise is going to be something which is pleasing to your palate, so to speak. I will have a day, and my days will run for hours and hours and hours on end. I see tons and tons and tons of stuff that is despicable, awful, terrible, inept, inane, non-working, phony, ridiculous, I don't know what the word is, excuse-making. I see tons and tons of that, but yet I do not have the right to become violent and protest every single time I see something I don't like. And I'm just going to say this today as the opinion of me, Tony D'Angelo, on this program, Tony D'Angelo's PM Coast to Coast. Not the opinion of people on other programs, not the opinion of others, but have we gone a little too far with the protection movement? Have we gone a little too far with making things that really were not intended to be hurtful? Do we serve a better purpose if we let people go out and deal with the hurt and deal with circumstances that they themselves may perceive to be foul, so that they could grow from it? You know, it's the, I remember when I was a high school kid and I had an automobile accident. And I said to my father, I said, I'm not going to drive a car again. I'm scared. And he said, no, you have to drive a car, and you're going to start driving a car tonight, because you are not going to be burdened with this fear for the rest of your life. And thank God he told me that, because within a week I was over the fear of driving an automobile. And honestly, truthfully, you drive around the roads where I live, and you really wish some people would get the fear of God driving automobiles. Believe me, they could use a dose of it. But all of that kind of being as it is if I cower and I say, well, that's a threat to me, I will continue to be a victim. And I'm not being critical of anyone who's offended by anything, but the only thing I am going to say is that it is my belief, it is my humble opinion, that you will come a whole lot farther by confronting your fear and doing something about it and overcoming it and helping others than you are by cowering and saying something's offensive. Now, there's another dirty little secret here, and I'm going to say this as I'm going to dignify myself by 30 seconds, or about 30 seconds. I call myself a radio personality. And your average radio station today, broadcast radio, by and large, other than maybe some news, some sports, some business news, a couple of good talk shows here or there, I'm talking broadcast radio, is a dying beast. It is dying for a number of reasons. Right now it is suffering from a lack of creativity and mindfulness. And many, many, many great networks are unlistenable because of what happened and what people have done. And what it is, it's that people who are running these networks who are pandering to advertisers. It's so that if the advertiser says, I want you to get rid of that, the station has to say, oh yeah, I have to get rid of that. And the whole, shall we say, creativity and freedom of expression in radio is entirely out the window. So, marvel not if you find that all of this came down in Cleveland and will come down in other places because of advertiser pressures. Now, I would be the first person to boycott the product of that advertiser if that's the kind of thing that you want to do. If you really, are so concerned about people not liking your product because of something that might be offensive to someone somewhere, I mean, just like shoot the whole thing down. It's terrible and it's awful, which is why I am here, because I can say what I feel and I can do as I like. And others, I believe, will respect me for that. And I would invite whoever may have another perspective, as Mr. Hughes would say on WPIX Radio, I would invite whoever would have another perspective or something else to say about this on for a discussion, not a screaming, yelling fit, but a discussion so we all can grow together. It is my belief that people, it is time to grow up, get out of the doldrums, and enjoy some wonderful, great radio, and you can do that right here on my program and on the other programs on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. As Howard Cosell would say, I'll be back in 60 seconds.
What are you doing in the kitchen at 3 a.m. in the morning, Alice?
Having a breakfast treat, George.
Well, breakfast isn't for another 4 hours.
I'm not having breakfast. I'm having a Stelladoro breakfast treat.
Is there a difference?
Breakfast you eat at breakfast time. Breakfast treats you eat anytime.
Not bad. What if they're good anytime, Alice? Why do they call them breakfast treats?
George, don't talk. Eat.
Stelladoro breakfast treats. There's no wrong time to eat them.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey. Guess what I got?
Swiss fudge cookies from Stelladoro.
No, a diamond ring.
Oh, that's nice, too.
Happy birthday. What have I got?
Swiss fudge cookies.
No, a gold watch.
Oh.
And?
Swiss fudge cookies.
No, a pearl necklace.
No cookies?
Happy anniversary. Guess what?
A new car, a fur coat.
No, Swiss fudge cookies.
How did you ever guess?
Stelladoro Swiss fudge. Delicious cookies baked with no butter fat.
Here comes the music.
Do I look bothered?
Oh, you are awful, but I like you.
And probably about the most unprepared status I have ever been doing a historical date. I have a date for you, which is June 26, 1972. This would be June 26, 1976. I told you I was unprepared. This is an important date in history because it is a date of a mixed boxing and wrestling match. That night, Muhammad Ali had box wrestled Japanese wrestler Antonio Inoki in Tokyo, and they fought to a draw. Muhammad Ali was managed by one Freddie Blassie, the Hollywood fashion plate. And on the undercard of that, Chuck Wepner had battled Andre the Giant in Shea Stadium, where the match was called in the third round when Andre the Giant flung Chuck Wepner out of the ring. But there was also some real news happening as well. The FBI was calling in banks in New York talking about illegal break-ins. There was sludge in the beaches in New Jersey. People in New Jersey are saying, what else is new? Gerald Ford is trying to keep his office of president running against Georgia's Jimmy Carter. Get this, Peter Lawford, who is in his 50s at that time, marries a 23-year-old girl. A lot of people say, what's new about that? We've also got a lot of things happening in music. We've got disco music ramping up the charts. We've got the Albany legislature talking about an okay of pension and rent bills. There are felons in New York operating nursing homes again. What's new about that, right? And then we've got in the movies, we have Paul Newman, who's acting in a cowboy movie. And we've got, actually, and I want to go over to that, Charlton Heston is in the movie Midway, which is done in Sense-Around. And Sense-Around was great. You sat in your seat and the actual seat shook whenever the aircraft carrier was getting bombed. And I'll never forget, I went to see that movie with a girl I was dating. We came back to her house, and her father, who had actually served on a carrier, we told him about what it was like and how scary it was. And he said to us, yeah, you should have seen it when they were firing real bullets. And I can only imagine. Paul Newman's movie was Buffalo Bill and the Indians. Sitting Bull's history lesson. There was Murder by Death by Woody Allen, and Midway, and then Harry and Walter Go to New York. In sports, we had a whole lot happening in sports. The Yankees are very good. The Mets are actually starting to descend into their dark period, and it really was a tough time if you were a New York Met fan, hoping they would get a little bit closer, but actually they were starting to falter on her about that time, and the Met management did not do anything to make the club better, which was a hurt for a lot of Met fans. And also, the New York Giants, the New York football Giants, are getting ready to play over in the new Meadowlands Stadium. Craig Morton is the quarterback. So just a day in time, June 26, 1976, hey, you can get a house in Florida for $17,000. As Mel Allen would say, how about that? We'll be back with more of our show and more of the December 1st, 2018 rain delay right after this. Whether I'm actually doing a show or trying to do a rain delay, the fans and friends of the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network are always angry if I do not acknowledge the baseball birthdays. Anyway, being December 1st, Herm Winningham, a fine gentleman, longtime Major League player, a man whom I've had the pleasure of interviewing, is 57 today. Reggie Sanders, a fine, versatile veteran player, 17 years in the major leagues, is 51. And get this, Calvin Coolidge, Julius Caesar, William Francis Tuskahoma McLish was born on this day in 1925. I used to love when Lindsey Nelson used to announce his name with all of the names in between. The late Earl Averill told us that Calvin Coolidge, Julius Caesar, William Francis Tuskahoma McLish was a poet, and I know you didn't know it. Our best wishes to Herm Winningham, Reggie Sanders, and to the memory of Cal McLish. We'll be back more of the rain delay of December 1st, 2018, right after this. Not to make apologies for my bad behavior or being unprepared, it gives me some pleasure to know that this happens to the great ones as well. I'm going to play you two commercials. This is done in the early 1970s. The actress in the commercial is Zaza Gabor, and we are going to play, well, actually, I think I'm going to do this in reverse order. We're going to play the actual produced commercial, and then we're going to produce the outtake after that, just so you get an idea of how sausage is made in this crazy game. So here is the actual commercial itself.
Zsa talks about a new luxury car.
Darling, I love this citrus corduroy. And the sunroof and the metallic paint. I love it. And Mother loves getting 33 miles per gallon on the highway. She's right. With daughters like mine, you learn the value of $1.
Presenting La Grande Bug, a new limited edition Volkswagen.
Okay, that's the actual produced commercial. But we oftentimes think that some of these things are done and, they're done right the first time. Oh, if that only were the truth, let me tell you. But for the replay button in this business. Here's Zaza on the way to the fair filming this commercial. I warn you, some of this is not exactly politically correct, nor is it suitable for children, so we'll roll this.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And darling, I love this citrus corduroy.
Wait, and markers?
Excuse me? Hey, wait a second, don't do that. Let him do it from there. I can't do that goddamn fucking commercial. I have a claustrophobia. I don't work like this. Why didn't you put it on my head? I don't wish to work like this.
Goes to show you, kids, you think it's easy, but it's not. Or as they used to say in professional wrestling, don't try this stuff at home. Or as Bruno Sammartino would tell us twice as he was wrestling on Channel 5 in New York, if you think this is fake, I invite you to get in the ring with me. So a little bit of fun, and apologies for any off-color stuff. And we'll be back right after this.
No, we got it. You got what? We found a way to put Simonized car wax and Simonized car cleaner all in one push-button can. And just how does it work, Professor Nitwit? Come on, we'll show you. Come on, Now look, it squirts on. You push the button. See? And then what? You spread it around and let it dry. And it's really Simonized, is it? Watch this. Sure, it's Simonized. Look at that shine. We'll be famous. We'll make a fortune. We'll call it Instant Simonized.
Instant Simonized, you lame brains. You can already buy Instant Simonized everywhere.
Instant Simonized? They thought of it too?
Simonized thinks of everything. Try Instant Simonized, another easy new way to brighten your day. From Simonized Company.
Well, special thanks to so many on this rain delay. The baseball players, Stella Doro, the radio jingles, Zaza Gabor, the Three Stooges, and you guys who have put up with me today. We had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a more serious show. So, it's been a lot of fun doing this, and I'm kind of experimenting. Thank you for being patient with me as I do. So, for all our fans here on all the coast, Tony D'Angelo saying goodbye for this Saturday. We'll be back to you next week with a real show. Thanks again, Dan Ingram. God bless.
The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.